Good evening. My name is Alex Larson, and this is my second version of my persuasive speech. First off, I hope everyone's having a good semester. We're almost there at the end. The finish line is coming up. As far as my speech, what I'm going to be talking about tonight is the fact that the way we are paying for our public schools funding isn't working well for our public schools or for their students. So a little background. Our public schools are paid for about 44% through state funding, like from the state directly to the schools. And then the other 56% is funded through the property tax for the homes and businesses within the school district. And so any home, business, all that property tax, or at least a chunk of it, goes to the schools within that district, and it gets separated evenly between the schools. Now, unfortunately, due to the way this works, what happens is you can end up with schools in the same city or within miles of each other that happen to be in different districts. And they can end up with vastly different amounts of funding. Like in Lower Merion in Pennsylvania, they get $23,000 per student. Now, just a few miles away in Philadelphia, they're only getting $10,000 per student, which is less than half of what the other students are getting. And the reason for this is Lower Merion is the suburbs. So obviously there's mostly homes and a few businesses. And all in Pennsylvania, that's the city. So instead of homes, you have a lot more apartments. So a lot more people live there, but the property taxes are lower because there's not as many houses, meaning there's more students in the school, but not as many houses and businesses to pay for those students. And because of this, you end up with schools that, like I said, are just a few miles away from each other, getting half as much funding. Now, what ends up happening when you have these great disparities is the quality of education goes down. And on top of that, the quality of the schools and the facilities themselves can go down. You end up with schools where their books or older, 10 years or older, or the facilities themselves aren't working, like bathrooms, or some schools even have mold in them. Things are breaking down, and they just can't afford to make repairs necessary due to the funding that they're not receiving. And then a few miles away, you could have a school with brand new facilities. All the students have Chromebooks. The teachers are paid better, meaning you're going to get a higher quality of teacher, unfortunately. And because of this, the education of those schools are going to end up being a lot better, just naturally. Unfortunately, high poverty districts get 15% less funding per student than higher or lower poverty areas. Now, how do we fix this? Now, the easiest way would be that instead of property taxes only going to pay for schools in your district, it would be all go to the state, and then from there redistribute it out evenly to all the schools in the state, meaning that pretty much all schools would get the same amount of funding per student. This would allow equalization between the schools, and then students wouldn't have to suffer just for the fact that they're going to the wrong school. Now, obviously, this isn't going to be the easiest thing to do. Some states have already done it, like Michigan. And in California, we do have some policies, but we haven't achieved fully what we need to. The main problem is convincing people. Unfortunately, a lot of people don't want their taxes to go away from where they live. So it's hard convincing people that they should help fund other schools besides the one that their children go to. And to that, I would say when you pay taxes, it goes to a lot of things that you're not going to benefit from. But at the end of the day, it's what's necessary for everything to run smoothly and benefit all of society. And at the end of the day, having all schools and all children have equal opportunities is only going to benefit everybody and society as a whole. Um, Thank you for listening, and this was my speech.